And we're live! Alright, hope you all enjoyed that full-on video introduction. For those of you who already know me, glad you're back. For those of you who don't, my name is Tim Mobbs, I'm the CEO of M-Elec, and I am very glad to have you all here today on our big live stream event. Today is about you. We want to try and help the electrical industry get a great knowledge, I guess, of the smart space. And so today we're going to talk in a more general fashion than we normally would here at M-Elec in and around that space and try and give you some real key heads up and starters for you and your business. And I guess the really important next 3 to 5 years for us is huge importance. For those of you who don't know anything about my company, myself, in 2006, I was an electrician and became very frustrated with the market for especially lighting. There was no solutions at that time that really could end what seemed like consistent failures with the dichroics, halogens, and just typical lighting. So passionately started the M-Elec in 2006 to try and solve those issues, and very grateful that we are now in 2019 still in operation and still producing some great quality solutions for the trade. So in that being said, today we want to get straight into it and talk about the home automation. And the first topic that we want to talk about is getting a current look into home automation trends. So for some deeper discussion, rather than just have myself, I thought what would be great is to bring our senior industrial designer, Russell Lotrick. And thanks for coming all the way from your desk over there, Russ. Been with us for how many years now?
I think it's, 6 years.
It was just Bluetooth was really out there.
Pretty much.
Bit of Wi-Fi, yeah. So the biggest argument that we consistently get confronted with, or the topic, is really, tell me about Zigbee versus Z-Wave versus Wi-Fi versus Bluetooth. And of course there's all stacks in between there, what people call there's hybrid systems. And you've got the conventional C-bus or bus wiring and KNX and DMX and all of those. So people are really confused. For you,
Based, so for me it was no-brainer.
yeah.
So
And I guess what we also experienced is when we tried out the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi systems, for us, in those early days especially, we had like no communication that was smooth, easy to use, especially to go from Bluetooth to Wi-Fi. So I guess first of all, we wanted to explain a bit of the background of our journey on those areas there, and we'll go into more detail. But especially for myself, I try not to focus in and around Z-Wave, Zigbee, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. For me, it was really, what does it do? What gives us the best function for the needs? And we're going to be talking heaps in and around voice control. But I guess that was one big thing that we really saw as the future that was needed, was voice control.
that, and what actually makes it smart, because with Bluetooth that we had, what I was trying out is what basically you couldn't turn on the light by Bluetooth. You had to do it by switch. The only control you had then with Bluetooth, and even every single time I had to reconnect Bluetooth, and then I was either dimming or switching on off. And if someone would be flipping the switch, it would be useless. So
yeah, in saying that, in fairness, we've had uses where someone might want just one light and to have a remotely connected switch to that light.
Yeah.
I wouldn't personally probably suggest Stitchy there. If they don't want anything else in the future, if it's grandma and she just wants a new switch down the back, Bluetooth's probably pretty good for that.
Yeah, it's enough.
And even the likes of timing, I've heard it where people have installed those Bluetooth modules as a timer instead of a time clock so they can have it on their phone and schedule it. Again, that's probably a pretty good application for that type of technology. But I guess when we go back to what we're talking about, for us, future potential, because of course we want to integrate it with the future and obviously voice control, Z-Wave, Zigbee for us was like, okay, those two were up there. And then it also went into certification and some form of standard. And we really started to go, okay, well Zigbee kind of pulled ahead for us in that journey because they have obviously the Zigbee certified products. And then of course it goes across the platforms there.
That and how many hubs do you actually want to have at home?
Yes, yeah. And that is a bit of a drama at the moment. If you're a bit of a tech guy too, there's quite a lot of guys out there that are getting the 2-year gear. You'll know what I'm talking about, and the Wi-Fi based stuff, and wanting to.
And it's like a pain to actually learn everything again and again.
You're
and
obviously
again.
not one of those guys.
No, I'm not one of those guys, but I love that it's just easy. You plug, play, done.
Yeah. So another thing that we tested out the other day that we were blown away about is, are we good, guys? Good? Yeah, okay, no technical problems. Right, we'll just keep on rolling. Was the distance. We were blown away at the distance. Now, I've got to say in fairness, we haven't tested Bluetooth distance or Wi-Fi distance apart from the Wi-Fi mesh, but we got 70 meters from a Zigbee device to a next Zigbee device before it lost communication. That 70 meters, that's insane. That's
well, but even at 70 meters, it was open air and it was connected, disconnected, connected. So, but it would be great presentation to actually show how Zigbee devices basically create their own mesh and basically how you go from, let's say, Philips Hue and put one Zigbee device, another, how you can basically get with 4 Zigbee devices basically across 100 meters.
Yeah. So I guess we wanted to go into a little bit more detail on the whole talk there, but bringing it home again, my advice to you would look at function. What does your client need now and what do they need into the future? Don't depend upon all smart tech being smart, because the more of these products that we test, you can see that we've got lots of different brands here, and there's tons of different devices behind here that we've got and tested out. The more of that stuff that we test, it's not smart. Not all smart stuff is smart. It's not intuitive. It can be really difficult for the client, which if it's difficult for the client, it means it's going to be difficult for you. So I would encourage you to look at the function. What do they want to use right now and what do they want to use into the future? Even down to the detail of, okay, well, what device do they have right now? As in a phone, is it an Android, and are they going to have an Apple device into the future? Because cross voice control there is even a big issue at the moment. A lot of systems are working on Google or Alexa, but then some systems won't even jump across to the HomeKit at all. So it is a bit of a concern.
Yeah, but you always should know that every system is basically upgradable. So you can start basically with only one light. Maybe we should mention now what do you actually need to just have like one smart light?
Yep.
How do you start? And basically you can go from there. So in this case, pretty much how we go about it is we connect to basically Philips Hue. So this would be pretty much the brains of your house. All you need is one Philips Hue and then whatever smart device. In this case, our Stitchy, you connect behind the switch and you can already connect to it, control it even out of home through the Philips app. But if you want to voice control it, all you need is pretty much what would be the cheapest way would probably be just Echo Dot.
Yeah, either the Dot or the Google Mini. Yeah. So that's the direction you go. It's a good question. Yeah, what do I need to get started? And that's, I suppose, the big difference in that people are either getting scared away from hubs or they're learning to kind of use these hubs. For us, if we're talking about all the different platforms and the smart space, we've decided to go with a hub like this so that we can make it easy into the future. So if they want to go across onto the HomeKit or Siri, that's fine. If they want to do Alexa, that's fine. If they want to just use an app, that's okay too. So the width, but there are other products that are out there, like the Bluetooth devices. And we don't want to talk about other brands. They don't necessarily like us dropping names there, so we'll call them Bluetooth and Wi-Fi devices. But those devices do have some hubs. My only suggestion would be, again, check out, okay, is Alexa already in their house, or do they have a Google device that they want it to work with? Because a lot of them will not jump that gap. They'll only do Google, they'll only do Alexa, and most won't do HomeKit. So there is a bit of an issue there. So if we go back to the trends side of things, actually before we go there, Ant's gonna pop me a name. We want to give away, kick this thing off. We got a Knox 40, this big bag guy here, this Knox 40. We want to give it to Jeff Connor. Yeah, there we go, Jeff Connor. We're going to be pulling some names out. That's coming your way. Thanks for being a part. So we're going to keep on going and pull some random names out as we go through. Lots of fittings and some stitchy and some other prizes in there. So talk about trends. I guess I want to give you all a bit of an insight into how trends, in my opinion, have happened in the electrical industry, especially with lighting. And as I said, I've been kind of involved in the lighting game now since 2006. And the early part of my career, I headed over to China to these fairs. And I was expecting the fairs to, I suppose, go to the booth and they have some really unique products which would save us designing products. That's really why I went there. I thought this would be great. I'll go and they'll be like, oh, we've got this little device here. No one's thought of it. Go to the next booth. They've got something completely different. Third booth, they've got something completely different again. And I guess I was really disappointed in those mid-2000s because you've been over there too, yeah, and been to these fairs. It's really surprising because it's almost like rinse and repeat. Like,
yeah, it's just like 3 booths, you've seen it all.
Yeah.
Then it's just repeat.
And I mean no disrespect here, but China as a nation is very good at replicating, at manufacturing. What they're not strong at is the design and the originality. So you can get some of those factories to churn through products. You know, you could say, okay, go and copy this product, and they could do it really, really well, try and find some cost savings there. So I said that to try and give you a picture of what happens over in these fairs is that a lot of lighting suppliers go over there, they're looking for products to bring back here, and then what they see is the same products over and over. They find what suits their particular company and start to release it here in Australia. And what happens then is that you see, the vast majority of a lot of lighting suppliers in the wholesale sector, I should clarify, in the wholesale sector, releasing similar products. So if you look at what's trending and what's about to trend, it would be along the lines of heaps of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi devices because China has got those and released them in masses. So you go to a booth, go to the next one, they're all using something similar. So if you're not into design, if you're not into really creating from the ground up, I guess you go with something like that. For those of you who know M-Elec, we try not to do that because we try to look at it from a solutions point of view. What does our clients need? And most of the time, I have to say, those fairs are not great for finding something original. They're great for finding what the mass market is reproducing and obviously bringing the price down. So I said that to try and give you a picture on the trend that happens here in Australia. So I like going there because I can see what's going to be released in the masses in Australia with a lot of different suppliers. Now, what happens, of course, when we go to this smart space, we talk about these smart products, is that Bluetooth and Wi-Fi over there are almost white labeled, aren't they? Yeah. There's a company called Tuya.
True.
And they've more or less really got a huge part of the market captured where they've gone to suppliers. So let's say they go to a factory and they say, look, save your product and don't make a new platform, a new app, anything else. Use our hardware integrated into your actual device, and then we'll white label the app. So, or they can brand the app even to that point, and then release it as your smart tech and your smart home. And so you see that, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's smart or the best.
Most of the times those products are Wi-Fi based. So, which the problem is that if you rely on that small device to have its own Wi-Fi connection, and basically back to China origin, is that basically they drop out several times. So I have that experience as well. One of those products is my garage door opener, which is quite unreliable, I must say. Not like Zigbee lights, come on, always. Where my garage door opens, it's more for a fun type of thing, although it does come in handy, really handy, especially with package delivered to my home.
Yeah, and we'll hopefully have enough time to show you a bit of that, a bit more advanced stuff from the Apple Watch and whatnot in a minute or later on in the session. But for us, when we started to see the smart home trending, I guess we'd already decided as a bit of a team the direction that we were going to go, and we didn't see app as the device that should be controlling it. We saw actually that the future is a bit of a combination, I suppose. For us, voice is very much now and into the future a huge part of control. And so immediately, in our opinion, smart tech should be able to work across HomeKit, across Google, and across Alexa, because they're the big three devices. Second,
it needs to work through switch, through app, and through voice. Obviously.
Yeah, spot on. So the hardware then, if you go into a house, I love using my dad as an example. He's in his 60s, love the guy, very intelligent, but he's not going to walk into my house and go, hey, Siri, I'll do. Hey, Alexa, turn the lights on in the bathroom. He's just going to walk in and turn the switch on. So there's a lot of equipment that doesn't work with standard switches. You either need bell press, or if you turn the light switch off, you can't control it through voice. So for us, we're like, okay, very important is the hardware side of things. It has to integrate into what's existing. And some people are really fussy about their switch plates and things, so we don't want to go and change those. And then the last thing is gesture and predictive. I think this is big for us into the future because we are becoming more reliant on technology. I think most people now have a robotic device in their house, whether they realize it or not. Could be as little as an electric toothbrush, still robotic to an extent, or as advanced as your pool cleaners and obviously your vacuum cleaners. Even your lawnmowers now are robotic, So whether we want to admit it or not, we're becoming lazier in that sense, or more reliant on that technology. So the three things for us: voice across the major platforms, functional equipment, gesture, switches, controllers and hardware, and lastly, gesture and predictive is big for us into the future. We've been working on something in terms of a bit of a combination because both of us experienced this. We had dimmers on the wall, we put a stitchy device in, and the dimmer then got removed because we wanted to dim up and dim down through voice control and routines and things. My wife then said, well, how do I dim the lights up and down, if someone's asleep, or you don't want to walk in and be like, whisper to Alexa, hey, dim the lights down. It sounds a little bit creepy.
Well, you can still use your app. I'm doing.
True.
Basically.
You could use your app. Yeah. So because we as humans are so used to some form of controller, I'll get Russ to show what we're kind of working on to hopefully release by the end of this year.
So we're developing this device where basically just by turning it, you can switch it on or even dim it. Well, it's kind of hard to do it like with this hand. Would you mind holding this? So it would be easier to show. I turn this one to turn it on, dim it down, turn on, dim it down. So you would still use your normal switch to turn it on or off, or just this device. And this is something we're developing now. It will come in form of just as a rotation device, and we'll also come out with a button for those of you that still just like to press. You'll still be able to dim it, but it won't stop there. We'll go into RGB, CCT, and they'll all be basically using the same gesture.
Yeah, so we're trying to connect, I guess, the flexibility of having a magnetic type device you can put near your bed head or beside your bed, or put it beside your switch if you like. So that flexibility. So then again, you've got hardware, you've got obviously app control, and you've got the voice control. It's not reliant upon one area or another. So voice control, why are we stressing about this? I think this is important to try and talk about to people that don't have a device in their house. Let's get a bit of a snapshot into the mind of these gigantic companies. Amazon spent $26 billion last year on R&D. That was billion, 26 billion. It's an insane number on R&D. To date, they've sold 100 million Alexa devices, 100 million. Now, the reason that I state that that's so important that they're Alexa devices, when you get a phone, obviously voice control is built into a lot of them, either having Google Assistant or Siri or whatever. These devices are purchased for voice control. So people are actively buying them to use to either purchase things, control devices, interact with. Not just that, but now they've designed it for your car, your amplifiers, for your kids. Like they're making their way in everywhere. More than 150 devices have been integrated with Alexa, and I reckon that's like tripled probably by now as well since that data was released. Meaning that Amazon want to own that voice-controlled space in that market. And then people are buying these to control lots and lots of different areas. So we can't ignore obviously functional equipment. People still want switches. But this is the future, whether we like it or not. It's becoming, like, I think it was Woolworths was giving away Google Minis the other day. Like, why? Because there's actually an increase when people put one of these little devices in their house. The increase happens on what they actually purchase online. So you can tell, I think we're still in the early adopter stage. So I think this hasn't released to the mass market now. But people then have these devices. And the next stage, I guess, is what do you control with them?
Yes. Basically, you start to explore a smart home. So at least that's what happened with me. First light, second light, third light. Then all of a sudden it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
But later about that one.
Yeah. So I guess that's a little snapshot we wanted to share. Obviously, Google are spending a huge amount of money, obviously integrating and also releasing a lot of their products. You'll see Google has bought Nest completely now, so they're integrating themselves together. Two huge companies for both security, surveillance, and obviously voice control. That's great for us because we want more integration and cross-platform integration. So there's a huge thing to watch with them. And then you've got, of course, Apple, the sleeping giant, who have been lagging behind with their voice control. But if you look at what they're doing in their next iOS release with the NFC tags, they're really starting to ramp up their game with automation. Unfortunately or fortunately, they are good at making recoveries in those areas. They weren't the first ones to make an MP3 player,
True.
but they killed the market. And they have a huge loyal following. So anyway, enough about that. We just wanted to give you a snapshot on the voice control. Let's pick a couple more winners. Ant, give us a couple of names. All right, we got Nathan Dean and Aaron McDowell. Sorry about your name. I think I got that wrong. I'm going to give the Knox 15 and the Knox 30s coming your way. I'll get you guys to write the names on these. We'll give the Knox 30 to Aaron because I got his name wrong. All right. So the next part for us is we're going to chat about pitching home automation to your clients. For me, I suppose, coming from that background, and I did a lot of domestic work, for me it's really important that you understand the client's needs. Because, like I said earlier, Stitchy, we know this product back to front, doesn't mean that every single client should have it. So understanding why they want to put any home automation or smart automation in place is key to finding the right product for them. But for us, I suppose we broke it down into two parts. Home automation or smart home should do two things. One is help, and the second is save. If we're really looking at it from a perspective of being smart, it should be help the client, help the user, and actually save some money. So smart gear should really help our lives as a first priority, and second, because it's smart, it should save. So let's talk about helping. The system should be able to meet every client's needs. Every person likes a home that they can come home to and have it actually, process some of these automations really, really easy. So I'm going to come on over that side and show you a routine. Guys, I'll just get you to tell me where that's good. Okay, so we are in the Alexa app here, And I've obviously, if I go across the devices, I've already got these two devices here. So, sorry, can you swivel over to that box? I just want to demonstrate to everyone, I guess, the basic principles. So this box over here, we've got all three devices. Can you just unmute the Google and the Alexa for us, please, Ross?
The mic's back on.
Okay, so the strip that we've got there that you can see around the outskirts, that's in the kitchen. So if we go, Alexa, kitchen to blue.
Okay.
Hey Siri, kitchen to green. Okay Google, kitchen to red.
Sorry, I'm not sure how to help with that.
Well, there you go. Okay Google, lights to red. There we go, wrong keyword. So you can see, I just wanted to show you we've got basic principles and functions there. And what we're going to do, it's all similar. So if you pan back around here, Ann, I'm going to show you a routine. And this is, to me, part of what you would pitch to a client. A routine is like a triggering. So when this happens, so what we can do in here is we can set up schedules, we can set up alarms, we can say when a device meets a certain state. So if, say, one of our devices reached a temperature, we want to trigger something to happen, like a fan running or an air conditioning. For this demonstration, we're going to say, Frank's home. So when we say that, what do we want to do? And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get Alexa to tell us a joke. Cancel. Sorry, she's listening to me. The second thing we're going to do is go down to smart home, and we're going to get the kitchen, and we're going to get the kitchen onto 80%, and we're going to choose a color. Let's say, no, not red, let's go to green. And we're going to go next, and we're going to go add an action, smart home, all devices, and the main bedroom light, we want to come on, that's the down light sitting in the box over there, to 75%, let's just say for argument's sake. And the last thing, of course, is that we want some music to rock this out. So, what should we get here? Some AC/DC? Yeah, let's use that, just never think of a song. So we picked AC/DC, and we want it to play from Spotify. You can put a timer on there. For this example, we're not going to do that. So this is the kind of the rundown, and we're going to do it from the device that we speak to. So obviously we don't have all of other devices in here. It's just my demonstration box, my mobile demonstration box. But this could be your vacuum cleaner. You could play the music through your Sonos. It could be that it's demanding that it does another action. It could be watering system.
Doors.
Unlock doors. Heaps and heaps of stuff. Basically anything that integrates in that network. So we're going to save that, and with any luck it'll load across there. So Ant, can you just change it back over there? Alexa, Frank's home.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Alexa, Frank's home.
I don't know that.
Frank's home.
How do you know you're a pirate? You just are.
Yeah, there we go. So we've got the colour, we've got the, obviously the main bedroom light, and we've got, the AC/DC song. Alexa, stop. So the routine keywords is always what's tricky. So obviously I've got Frank's home here. One that always battles is Tim's home. So Tim home works. Anyway, it's a matter of working out what works really smoothly there. So I would suggest playing around with those. But obviously for your clients, if they're coming home and they trigger a routine that could be really comfortable for them, the lights go on where they want. I'll also show you quickly, over in Google Home. So I've got also the kitchen strip and the main bedroom here. Routines is very similar. In this, it's a little bit smarter. You can actually type what happens. So you can create all these different routines here. But if you just go on back over there, and Google is up in the back corner, just in that corner there. Thanks, Russ. Okay, Google, emergency.
Get out, get out, get out of here. Run, fatty. Oi, are you deaf or just dumb? Get out.
So we've got her speaking something. We've got then a series of triggered things. Now that could be that your doors unlock. It could be that the lights go on. You're probably not going to want her just to yell at you, obviously, during that process. And I won't go for want of time. We're running thin on time. I won't go into the actual... do you just mind muting those again? The actual...
The mic's off.
process, because we'll lose too much time there. There's heaps of videos on our website. Google's got plenty of videos as well. But practically, a good use of something like that would be if the Nest smoke alarms go off, all the lights in the house go on, the doors unlock, if you've got window locks or anything like that, it all disarms so that you can get out, all the outside lights go on. So practically from, I guess, a pitching point of view to your clients, practically, and how it could work for them, there are some really good uses and safe uses, I suppose.
Yes.
So one of the ones I think you've got or processed in is with the ring cam, isn't it?
Yes. What I really love is, so as I said before, I started with lights, then I went into ring doorbell. So I love that one, just the fact that you actually can see who's moving around your house, because just the motion triggers as well, so it records online and you can watch it later. Especially it's good when someone actually rings your doorbell, and when you see a postman on the other end with a parcel, but you're at work and you already know that you're gonna go to the post office just to pick it up. Well, that got me to basically install a garage door opener, and it's proved to be useful. Like the first week I got it installed. So just while traveling to Brisbane on a highway, my watch went off that someone's at the door. Had a look, talked to the mailman, and asked him basically if he could leave that package in the garage, and he said no problem. Okay, so that was fine. Basically, I have a IFTTT that I created on my watch. I press just that button and I have open or close the garage doors. So I can open it remotely. But the issue that I had is once he left, I wasn't sure is the garage door open or closed, because my reception was pretty bad on the highway. So that got me to install another camera, another ring camera, and now basically I can see the entire front of my house as well as the garage door. And since then I reckon I probably opened 4 times for different parcels. So it's really
it's practical
useful.
as well.
This is useful.
It's that helping that we're talking about. If you've got to put something in, and you know, I was there with C-Bus way back in the day, did some courses I think in 2004, and I really was disappointed the more places I would go to and I'd see systems that didn't use C-Bus in the right way. They just used it to turn lights on and off. It was really disappointing because that system is massively capable. I'm really excited about where we're at now, because so much of the systems that are available now are such low cost and easy to integrate, even like with your watch and things like
exactly.
that. And how it all works. You don't need a genius. If you do have to do
What are you saying? I'm not a genius.
If you've got to do IFTTT, then the great thing about that is that there's lots of applets that are pre-made. You don't have to sit there and do JavaScript for a lot of it. And our goal is to always provide people with more and more of that. So our journey is no different, I don't think, to anyone else, is that we've started off small, but what we've made sure of is the devices that we're going to get can integrate across and kind of grow and grow.
So I'll try and demonstrate here if it's successful. As I was saying, that garage door is Wi-Fi enabled. So basically this is my trigger button for the garage door. Press open. So it started, and then I have also a message coming up in case I do it accidentally. And we can see here the garage door is basically opening. That's at my home there, and obviously I want it closed before my wife is panicking that I'm already home.
She might be watching us, so.
So there, garage door closed, and it should start closing in a second here as well. Again, that message, and we can see the garage door is closing.
Okay, so we've got a couple of questions that have come in, and the platform for Stitchy or the
No, so that is these are two winners for prize.
right?
Yeah, just let them know which one they're from. YouTube or Facebook.
Oh, sorry. So YouTube. These are new winners. Great. All right, I'm with you now. Good communication there. So we have two more winners. Russ, do you want to go and pick some prizes out for them? Is that M-Elec? I apologise for anyone that I'm getting their names wrong. It may be the handwriting that we've got. M-Elec Rumman and Andy Thomas from Facebook. So YouTube is M-Elec and Facebook is Andy.
So we'll both get Nox 15s.
There we go. Good stuff. All right. And next we'll give away some Stitchy gear coming up. So let's keep on going here. The second part to what we said, number one, helped. The second part was save. Now, huge costs in most households now that LED is predominant and out there is heating and cooling. So some functional type setups that you can do very, very easy. Not a huge amount of integration is, for example, all the heated towel rails and hot water systems run only on timers if someone's home. Or they come on if someone's home or if motion's been detected within the last 12 hours. It's not hard to do anymore. You know, I quickly ran you through a demonstration before. That was just in Alexa. All the other platforms are very similar. Or in an office environment. So right now, we had the vast majority of our aircon and things like that running on timers, lighting, aircon, hot water, and a manually controlled like coffee machine. But all you've got to do is hook up some Stitchy relays, or there's other devices that are out there similar in this. Hook them up, and obviously you can hook them up to a relay and control larger loads, but have it so only when people walk in and say, Alexa, good morning, or okay, Google, good morning, or even Siri or whatever, to trigger those scenes can save huge amounts of cost with your heating and cooling. So they're just some simple areas that I would suggest. The complex systems, I would always try and stay away from. If it's hard for your client, it's going to be hard for you. You don't want to be going back to these jobs all the time to try and help them to do things. And that personally, again, is one of the reasons we try to integrate in with the likes of these guys who are very consumer orientated, so that if there's something that they need fixed, there's that huge amount of like YouTube videos alone for this type of gear.
Yeah, we're really trying to stay away from custom app, because basically everything would need to be redone, just like now on the 1st of October. Apple is basically running out with new iOS 13, which means new apps for everyone.
Updates, yeah. Yes.
I have a question here. It's from M-Elec, actually, our winner. What is the security behind Zigbee? Can somebody hack the device mesh and use it in a botnet attack?
Look, I'm no expert in terms of hacking, but what I can tell you is Zigbee, you have to go through a certification process. I guess the best way is probably to look at a comparison chart, Zigbee, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and Z-Wave, and have a look at the encryption methods that I've got up there. So if you head to our website, melec.com.au/Stitchy, there's a comparison chart about halfway down, and on the different brands that we've found available in the market. We've decided to go for that because of the security around it. My answer would be no, but again, I'm no hacking expert. We went with it because of the certification as number one, and second to that was the protection that it offers. For a nufty, you can't search for it and find it like a Bluetooth device or a Wi-Fi device. You just can't find it like that. Someone might have a lot more experience that's watching right now, and I would encourage you to post something up. In fact, if someone can answer that really well, we'll give you a Stitchy prize pack. There we go. Let me know if that comes through. Ant, my man. Let's talk turkey, because we're burning through time here. Your Sparkies, you're tuned in to find out. You love installing and commissioning this stuff. So we want to talk to you about how this thing is wired. And again, I'm not going to go into other brands. I'm going to talk around Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. I'm going to bring out some key identifiers that we stuck to. Number one is we put cables on this sucker. This goes behind your switch. If you've got to get some cables out to install 20 odd of these units, it's a pain in the bum. So when you pull a switch off, Stitchy and most other devices that have any reasonable amount of logic use an active and a neutral. And these active and a neutral, therefore, are permanently connected. What that means is if you turn the switch off, it's still connected. And that was big, like we talked about before. So therefore, this goes to the switch, the red cable, and the white cable goes to your load. Means that you can turn it off in voice control and then on from the switch, or vice versa, or in the app or whatever, and there's no complications. So that might sound logical, but even to get the cables on there, we kind of separated ourselves in the marketplace. Number two, I'll just go through these, Ant, and then I'll get to those questions. Number two was in and around what I just mentioned, is that there's a lot of little devices that will go between your light and your switch. As soon as you turn that switch off, you can't control it anymore. So voice control drops out, app control drops out because it doesn't have power. So just watch out for that. These are all pointers that we just want to try and help people with.
Well, basically all the Philips Hue lights are like that.
Yeah.
So that's why they actually need a separate switch, just so that they are able... Basically, you need to disable the switches that you already have for those lights to be smart.
Same if the light's got the tech in it, you turn the light switch off. You can't use it from your app. Just something to watch out for. Same with resetting. So what we did is, yes, obviously on the front of these guys, we can push the buttons. The switch version has an indicator, and the dimmer version has a minimum setting and a reset, so you can control it from the front. What we did is we integrated the switch, so 5 clicks of the switch, and you go into a search mode. We wanted to do that because for our friends over in Western Australia who always have to install Stitchy gear either in the roof or under the floor because there's no neutrals at the actual switches, obviously you don't want to be crawling around those spaces, and so we wanted to have a remote setup. While we're on the topic of neutral free, that's something to watch out for. So even in my house where, in Queensland, it was built in the 80s, some had neutrals, some didn't, and I was quite surprised because I thought that wiring technique had long gone. So neutral free is something that you might need to consider. We don't currently offer that on Stitchy. It's coming at the end of the year, but there are other systems that offer neutral free versions as well. And the last one was the minimum dim level setting. Because we've designed this to try and work with most of our lights with any dramas, but we're not the only lighting manufacturer. So there's a minimum setting here that if you find down at 10%, it flickers on someone else's brand of light, you could set that as your minimum. So the client never gets down below that setting. It's more like a manual setting within here. And that way you can avoid any flicker.
Or basically you just find what's the lowest settings. Let's say you go to Alexa, go 15%, the light is off, you go 16%, okay, it turns on, you press the minimum button and that basically becomes 1%. So next time you say light go to 1%, basically it goes to that minimum settings.
So Ant, sorry, what you got?
Yeah, I've just had someone say, Ian, are you working towards 2 wired devices?
Yeah, good question, Ian. So if you didn't hear it, it was, are you working towards 2 wire devices? And I believe the interpretation is this is a 1-switch device at the moment. Have you got one coming that you can connect this to 2 separate switches so that you don't have to put 2 Stitchies behind there? Absolutely. It's on our list along with neutral free, PIRs, reed switches, 5-in-1 strip controller, garage door opener. So absolutely is the answer. We see that as a necessity because as small as we could get this, it's still big, right? So you can fit one of these in like a wall box, but ideal situation is multiples of these in that form factor. Definitely. Good question. Was there anything else, Ant?
In different topics. So get some time afterwards.
Yep. Okay. So we'll try and get to all those questions. We've got them all down as soon as possible. So, my advice would be check out the devices and even install the device in your own house. We've had quite a lot of guys that are doing that. Part of our beta type testing we did on Stitchy. Go and install it in your own house. Try and commission it, because the biggest thing that I've got written down next for you guys is that you're going to be commissioning the system from your phone. Now, I would love to know if anyone has ever had a system that they've had to commission from their phone before. I think we're in an age that we've never been in before, and that's really exciting, but it's also kind of scary. because you've got to commission it and hand it over to the client. So I'm not going to profess to be a great tester of all the other systems that are out there. I've done obviously Alexa, Google, or HomeKit, and Hue. We've spent a lot of time in that. I've spent a bit of time in the Tuya and the Smart Life apps. Get something that makes your life easy. You don't want to be installing this device for 5 minutes and then spending the next hour and a half trying to commission it. That is the opposite of smart again. So make your life easy. I would suggest that you grab some devices that you're keen on, whatever the brand, and try it out at your own place. See how long it takes, time it. Because my passion, my desire is that you guys can make some money off this. This is a new device, like when LED lighting first came out, that is going to help people and is going to change lives for the better. So use it so that you can make some good money. Don't go in skinny here. The idea is definitely that you're able to make some good money because there's not too many items that are out there that everyone can do that on.
And great thing with this one is as well is, especially with new houses, if you wire everything, these ones are in walls already, and client basically buys the house months later or moves in months later. It's quite easy to commission basically everything in practically 10 minutes. You could just go around the house, flip the switch 5 times, it becomes discoverable, and then it can basically go everything to the client's accounts so that you don't have to move around accounts.
Yeah, we've been having quite a good discussion in the chat at the moment around security.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people are, talking about Zigbee standards and being considered very strong, and then some people have said that there are ways to hack a Zigbee, a device. Do you have any feedback on any of that?
Yeah, look, it is a concern. I guess any system is always going to have weaknesses. No matter how strong, you're always going to have people that are going to try and want to hack it. Let's think about it logically for a minute and go, okay, does someone want to get into Tim's house and open his garage door? If you want to spend a few days trying to hack my system to open my garage door, okay, go for it. Probably the easy way is to smash a window when no one's home and get in there. So, I think we've got to think about this logically. When you're talking about a business, so like here, you've got lots of equipment that people might want to get in, and one way to get in would be to try and yell through the window, Alexa, open the door. We muted those? Yeah. Alexa, open the door, right? Garage door or whatever it is. We're talking about voice control. That's a bit of a concern that I think anyone should have. So what a lot of the major players have done, like Amazon, is that they've either added a code that you got to put a PIN code out there. I saw a brand that was doing that the other day. I thought that was a good idea. But another idea that I really liked is that they've integrated almost a security system amongst their basic devices that you can just enable a skill. And when you say, Alexa, goodbye, when you're walking out, it acts as an alarm system and prevents people from activating those things.
Or breaking the window, basically, it notifies you.
Yeah, so the window gets broken, it sends you a sound clip. It can then activate sounds like dogs barking, children talking, TV on, radio. So they're integrating ways around that. I think we've got to look at it from that point of view. There's always going to be flaws in any system. There's always going to be concerns. But I think what it does for our life is much more than what we should be concerned about on those end.
Well, I would think that it actually makes it more secure. I mean, Australia, everyone's going camping. While you're camping, lights can come on randomly.
Yeah, true.
And basically, it seems like you're at home, not that you're basically away for a week or even months.
Yeah.
And as long as you stay with lights, for example, I mean, if someone hacks my lights and there would be a light on, well, if that's the worst thing.
The Nest cameras, because they integrate in, would probably be the worst thing. Again, yeah, I like that theory, is to have a look at how it can actually protect you, like what we're talking about with the sound bites and whatnot, the PIN codes, the extra security that you never had before that you can add in really easy. Like you said, play the lights, play some music. Like I leave the music on all the time pretty much at home. People wouldn't know if someone's there or not. Yeah, so, Ant, did you have anything? Let's pick a couple more winners.
Yep.
Give me 4 names.
Oh, that's one.
We have,
3 more.
we have Doug Rose from Facebook.
Doug Rose from Facebook.
Yeah,
It's coming your way.
Actually, Alex Rawlings
Alex Rawlings,
from Facebook also.
Facebook too.
We have Brendan Zerner from
Brendan.
YouTube.
And one more.
Hey, you're rocking the camera.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Move back.
Let's go. I'm gonna give some of our Facebook guys some
Back off,
little
Ant.
more live. We will go Tyler Tessari.
There you go, Tyler. Thank you. All right. So the last part, which we love, right, is the future. Where is this going?
Space.
Maybe with Elon Musk. But seriously, like, I think this is such an exciting time. I used to be excited about when I was a kid at having clapper lights. Like, I was like, oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
But now this is so much cooler because you can essentially create all your routines. You don't need to be anyone that can code. It's built into the vast majority of these apps with various triggers. I just think it's awesome. I love it. I love doing the test like we did the other day, getting the distance. So, you know, I'm really excited, I guess, about, you know, anything and everything to do with voice control, but also the future, I think for us is a big thing. So we've got some renders to put up of where we think it's going to go into the future. I'll drop a few things. Did you have renders? No, we will put them up on our Facebook page later to show, I guess, a little bit around the Stitchy spin and where that's going. For us, towards the end of this year, we want to try and get neutral-free 5-in-1 controller, fan controller, blind control and motor control, garage door. Back to the switch mech and dimmer mechanism. We want to make a dimmer. We're working on a dimmer. Essentially, it looks like a dimmer, but Zigbee enabled. A PIR and read switch, all the fundamentals. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't work with the likes of these guys already. You know, the Hue gear, obviously it integrates in really easily with the Sonos surround sound. There's a whole lot of stuff that works with already. What's some of your ideas and where it's going into the future and why?
Oh, well, you got me there. I was just thinking of actually saying that we'll definitely make more movies on to give you ideas how to actually use it. What's the smart thing of using it? Because once you put the system in, then you go, okay, and the first thing that comes to mind is like, oh, Alexa, movie time, and you have lights dimming and lights turning off. But then all this stuff, like the other day I was watching where to use it, and it was these switches put on certain cupboards that you know which cupboards open, close, if your kids are stealing snacks and stuff, and other things like just whether or not the toilet's occupied or not, where to put LEDs, stuff like that. Otherwise, where the future is going, well, I reckon more or less integrating integration more or less into one system, so that's easy to install.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think we touched on that with the Nest, and even to a point, Apple has been so protective of their HomeKit. They're starting to open that up a little bit. I think they're forced to because not everyone has an Apple device. Most of the time when I've gone around and done intros about Stitchy and home automation, I ask the crowd, you know, what kind of, how many of you have got Androids and how many of you have got Apple devices? It's about 50-50. And then you've got children that are coming home and having to use iPads or whatnot at school with Siri built in. And so immediately you've got a bit of an issue there because you've got cross platforms. People want to use Siri, people want to use Alexa, Google, or Google Assistant, or even Cortana, which is built into the Microsoft.
Apple was really concerned about security, and that's why it's all closed. But I'm guessing here that if all those companies coming out with door locks and they work on Zigbee, well, I would say they pretty much trust Zigbee security system.
Yep.
They're putting basically door locks in this system.
So for us, I guess the future is what we touched on is cross collaboration. We don't want to be a closed network. That's why we don't have our own app. We use obviously Hue. We suggest this. This is the only hub that Stitchy works on. But for us, we found this little guy here with Wi-Fi and Zigbee built in is just a gem. So the Hue Bridge, we obviously suggest to use that. Wink 2 hub is also another hub that's got Z-Wave, Zigbee, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Kiddle. So I've got everything built in. So for us into the future, it's that cross connection so that we don't have this situation where people are asking, whoa, Bluetooth versus Wi-Fi versus Zigbee versus Z. Honestly, what we want to see is an ecosystem where you don't have to use IFTTT.
It's great to have open options. When you're upgrading your system, you can go either, not that you have to go in one way and then you're locked in.
Yeah. So it's 1 o'clock. We've gone a little bit over time. And do we have any questions that need to be answered? Pretty good. Okay.
Are we giving away any stitches?
Well, yes. Well, yeah, we do need to. Let's give away. Say, how many you got there? You pick five names across the platforms. And then we will.
We'll be back.
We will be back. Or we can pick them after. How about we go through? We'll pick them after. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate your time. We hope we've been of value. And good luck out there in the smart space.